Hey guys, welcome back to another snapshot video. So at this point, it really seems like Mojang wants to get 1.17 ready for release. We shouldn't expect any more big new changes. We can also be happy that at least this week, nothing got removed from the snapshots, like last week with the candles and the bundles. So today I can only report on some smaller changes and some bug fixes. Last week we already talked about geodes becoming significantly rarer and we couldn't really notice any difference. This week, it definitely feels different. So Mojang tried again to make the geodes rarer. If you fly around now, you can definitely feel it that there's fewer of them. So there's still, in some cases, two, sometimes even three, if you're extremely lucky, close enough to each other, so you could load three of them at the same time with the random tick range, but it's definitely a lot harder to find such a formation. So it's definitely noticeable that there are fewer geodes. Let's directly compare that with the snapshot from 2 weeks ago. So here we can definitely see there's a lot more geodes if you fly around. It's really not unusual that you have two really close together. Yeah, there's definitely more in previous snapshots. Okay, so it's actually kind of nice that we're in this snapshot because we can directly check if another bug fix was successful. So you might have seen the occasional floating grass block. This is supposedly also fixed, so let's check up on that. Here we got some floating grass blocks on top of a lava lake. Usually those can disappear, as you can see here. They get updated by a random tick. But Mojang's intention was that they want to remove them entirely from being generated in the first place. What's also not supposed to happen anymore is this, floating snow layers you could fall through. Let's compare this to this week's snapshot. So at least in case of the lava lake here, the floating grass is indeed gone. But it seems like the grass blocks actually popped, so they were generated in the first place and then got updated because there's some seeds here on the ground. So they still generate, but they just pop immediately. The floating snow in the same spot is also gone. I was actually searching if I could find more instances of floating snow in the latest snapshot, and yeah, here we got one. So it seems like it's not entirely fixed. I also spent a few minutes trying to search for floating grass, but couldn't find any. But I found some irregular grass generation nevertheless. So grass is not supposed to be on gravel for sure. So if you place a block here, it would definitely update it. Next, let's check out a bug fix that is relevant for the glow lichen farming meta. And yes, you can pronounce it lichen. I asked my friend from Cambridge, and I did some research myself. You can pronounce it lichen, which is British English, but you can also use lichen, which is American English. So I hope I don't get any angry comments anymore. All right, the bug fix is if you have multiple of the lichen blocks in one block, so in this case we got 5 and you mine them, instead of receiving only a single item, you actually get the correct amount of items. In this case 5. Okay, so you have 2 like this, you would of course receive 2 items. Since we got a couple bug fixes regarding glow lichen in the previous weeks already, that also affected the classic vines. I thought now we should also get 2 vines, for example, if they are both occupying the same block. That's something I obviously also tried whenever I was working on a vine farm, but it still doesn't. So here we got 2 vines. In this case, we even got 4 vine blocks in a single block. So let's check it out. Gonna empty my inventory, so we don't have any in the inventory right now. And we only got a single one. In case we mine the quadruple vine here, we also only get a single one. I expect this also be fixed in the upcoming snapshot for the classic vines, if it's the case for the glow lichen. There's also a redstone behavior change. A comparator reading the fill level of a filled lava cauldron would now give out signal strength of 3. Previously it was 1. So that's probably because the lava cauldron is either filled or empty. There's no fill levels like with water or powder snow. I'm not entirely sure how relevant this change is. In case you need a cauldron, a signal strength of 1 or 2, you can just use water instead. I don't think this is too relevant. It was probably just done for parity's sake. There's also a change to the rooted dirt behavior. If you use a hoe on it in order to turn it into normal dirt, it will additionally now also drop a hanging root item. There's also a way to obtain hanging roots now. And there's also something really interesting about the hanging root item. Just look at the size of this thing. It's huge. We can compare it to any other item. So we can drop blocks right next to it. Oh, I can also drop my hoe, which is tiny. I'm not entirely sure why this item is so huge, but it's actually kind of funny. There's also another bug fix that is relevant for peaceful mode players. If you would attack a llama, it wouldn't spit at you anymore. Can't get damaged by those entities anymore. We also checked other instances where non-hostile mobs would try to attack the player. So the peaceful mode player, I know if you would punch a bee, it would still become angry at you, but not actually attack you. And this is no longer the case. So this also affects the iron golems, for example. If you would try to attack them in previous versions in peaceful, they would still try to hit you, but just couldn't really harm you. This is also no longer the case. Apart from that, there are plenty more bug fixes. You can check out the full list in the patch notes, of course. But I usually only cover the ones that are most relevant to, for example, the item farming meta or just how we play the game. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks guys for watching and see you next time. Bye bye!